Let's just sense a version of you that has the biggest breakthrough of your life in your relationship with yourself and shift to that version right now. Aligned, accepting, centered, open, infinite, creative, playful, loving, brave, courageous, adventurous, intelligent, wise, caring, compassionate. Shift to that version right now and see your role in that relationship from an entirely new light right now. Feel that frequency breakthrough. So today we're going to talk about shifting faster. Now, wherever you are, whatever your obstacles are, whatever your problems are, you can shift faster than this. So let's experiment with that today. And just notice how you're feeling in your body. Notice your body's feeling. Whether you're sitting or standing, notice if there's comfort or discomfort. And let's just see if you can shift to a more comfortable spot. Whether you're sitting in your chair, you're standing, just decide this chair is more comfortable than I thought it was. The room temperature is more comfortable than I thought it was. And you can literally talk to the chair. Chair, could you make yourself a little bit more comfortable, please? And whatever thoughts are racing in your brain, if there are any, just ask your brain, hey, could you slow down a little bit? And just ask yourself to get a little bit deeper connected with yourself. Just like that, boom, I'm more connected with myself. Now become more grounded and more balanced and more open and more relaxed and more happy. And let's make sure we keep our eyes open. That brings it into this reality. If we have our eyes closed in these exercises, it kind of goes somewhere else, but bring it into this reality. And just notice how things are going in your business, the problems you've been focused on, the things you've been taking up your time. Notice how they've been going, whether you're coming out of a storm or you're accelerating or it's the best year ever. Notice there's a story there. There's the actual thing of what it is, and then there's a story about that thing. And let's just notice the story that's been running recently, whether you can identify it or not. Let's just be aware that there's a story that's running. And positive or negative. Let's bring in a new story right now that none of that actually matters. Let's bring in the new story that it doesn't matter if it's good or it's bad. There's a process we're living in. Let's just move into a deeper knowing of that. Let's also acknowledge that when we aim at targets and goals, sometimes we're inspired, sometimes we're not inspired. Sometimes there's easy and flow, sometimes there's grinding. Sometimes it shows up magically, and sometimes it doesn't show up at all. And move into the frame right now where you just are aware of all those different variations of your experience. And notice, move into alignment with understanding your motivation for that and where it comes from. Which some of it is mind-based, some of it is ego-based, some of it comes from a place of service. Notice that some of that desire comes from a place that you don't even understand. Move into an alignment right now with a version of you that knows that your life is orchestrated with life itself. And let's just move into a deeper connection with life right now. Move into a deeper connection of understanding with life. And then let's just remember how many times in your past you've been rushing. And how many times you've rushed through things. And how many times you rushed and rushed and rushed, and you had those times where you're literally was so wound up that you feel yourself like one of those little toys that the engine's still going. And just allow yourself to step outside of that experience right now And let's right now feel more balanced and present than you ever have before. Feel in line, aligned, in line with life, aligned with yourself. Don't think it, just shift. Notice how you're feeling in your body. Let's just decide to make our body feel good. So just shift to a version of you where your body feels good. And shift to a version of you that's enjoying this process. And maybe shift into the version of you that's having fun right now. And let's remember to shift into the version that really knows how unlimited you actually are. And right now, shift into the version that knows what percentage of your potential you've been using. And let's just step into the awareness of how much we've been on autopilot. And let's be amused by that. And let's be curious by that. And let's bring an awareness to our big goals that are in process right now. The big goals that you may or may not think you've been making progress to. So let's shift to the truth about your progress to those goals right now. And let's open ourselves up for a new insight right now. Let's also just move into a version that knows how the external marketplace and the economy doesn't faze us anymore. And let's move into a version that not only believes that, but realizes that and has lived it. And let's move into a version right now that feels more of your power. And let's move into a version right now where we step into ownership of that. And let's get a sense of a version of us that has spent 5 years focused on owning your power every single day. That version of you every day for 5 years said, I take full ownership of everything that I am and every power that I have and every strength that I have and every weakness that I have. I own all of it. So sense a version of you that's been running that pattern for 5 years. And step into that version right now. And add even more certainty to that version. And notice your fears start to dissolve. And notice your strength, your certainty, which was already 100%, getting even greater than it is right now. Move into a version of you that's never been more certain than this in your entire existence, not in just this body, in every lifetime. And move into a moment that is more certain than ever before. And just move into a version that recognizes how much uncertainty you have lived with in your life prior to now. And then move into the version that understands how much of that uncertainty was actually artificial and not even necessary. And move into the version that understands the patterns you've been defaulting to. The patterns you've been defaulting to with work, where you spend your days working. Has your just notice and move into the version that understands what is the default emotions you've been feeling. Is it happiness? Is it excitement? Is it worry? Is it stress? Is it fear? Notice what some of those top emotions you felt were. And if you don't like one of those, let's just shift right now. So if you can think of 3 emotions that you would feel every single day, move into a version of you right now that knows what those 3 emotions you want to feel every day. And think those the names of those three emotions. Move into the version of you that is embodying those three emotions right now. And then notice the trajectory that your life had been on. And notice that trajectory. For example, this trajectory could be pointing to the right in front of you. Let's just say, for example, get a sense of where your current trajectory had been prior to this call, and then connect with the version of you that understands where your trajectory could be. If you were living your full potential, living your full power, living free of fears, free of rushing, free of scarcity. If you lived that as an abundant, infinite creator, where would that trajectory be? So if my trajectory was, say, for example, this direction, and my new trajectory over is here, I'm going to take that and just move that trajectory to align it with the new one. And notice how you feel when you do that. And just notice, is life trying to give you more right now than you're able to receive? Is life trying to give you what you want in a different way and you're not seeing it? If that's the case, move into the version that's open to receiving that. Regardless of where you were, let's move into a version that's more open with receiving, and a version that's less judgmental about what it looks like to receive, because it's very easy to have rules around receiving. Let's bring in the version of us that's not afraid to 10x or 20x our business. Let's bring in the version of that's not afraid to be overwhelmed at capacity in a moment with success. Or the version of you that's no longer fazed by imposter syndrome. In fact, bring in the version of you that loves imposter syndrome because it loves that it's an indicator of a major growth. And bring in the version of you that in the past has feared failure. And right now in this moment, let's heal that version. Just shift it. Fears failure, does not feel failure. With a breath. And the version of you that's questioning if that's actually possible to change that fast, let's just take that version and move that version into unconditional acceptance and love. With a breath. And let's bring in the version of you that has feared success, which sounds silly. But you know that a part of you has put a little bit of your foot on the brake for reasons of control, certainty, unknown, connection, being loved, accepted, regardless of the reason. Let's just connect with the version of you that has feared success in the past. Let's validate and acknowledge that version and allow it to shift right now with a breath into the version that loves success. And maybe there's a version of you that has feared rejection. Let's bring the version of you that's feared rejection in the past, if it does or does not exist. Acknowledge that version. It's a real version. And let's just allow that version to move into the version where rejection does not exist anymore in that person's reality. In your reality. Move into the reality right now where rejection, the feeling of rejection just doesn't exist for you anymore. And let's bring in the version of you that has self-judgment, that judges yourself, that goes through and says, I should have, I would have, I could have. And let's just acknowledge that one and acknowledge that part of you. and bring that part of you in alignment with a breath, with the full infinite nature of you that understands that your life experience is a trajectory, and it's a combination of a lot of things. And everything in your life is part of your process to the next thing. So judging part of your process in the past is literally a waste of time and energy. So let's just move into a version that doesn't judge ourselves anymore. And let's bring the version that doubts ourselves in, and let's love and accept that version, and let's guide that version into our infinite nature right here with a breath to a version that is completely self-acceptance. And let's just imagine the version of you that loves everything about you. And let's imagine the version of you whose biggest, deepest, darkest secret was shared with everyone in the world. And it doesn't faze you one bit because you accept yourself to such a level that there's nothing anyone can say to you that'll make you doubt that. And you also understand that our paths and our experiences and the things we do aren't to punish us. Sometimes they're to grow. And in fact, sometimes we do things ridiculously crazy out of character simply to play a role in someone else's journey. So let's just notice if we had some deep, dark secret that was preventing self-acceptance or judgment of ourselves, and know that we may have been playing a role in the soul's evolution of another party at that time. And that's why we did that thing. It was literally not a choice. And let's bring the version of you in front and center that understands that we're all overlapping everybody's realities, playing roles for each other. And let's bring in the version of you that remembers that you agreed to play that game when you came here. And let's feel that part of you inside of you that's unconditionally accepting and loving yourself. And let's let that version spread and overwrite every other version of you. And notice, choose to feel how great that feels to be loved and accepted by you. Choose to feel excited. Choose to feel clarity. Choose to feel home. Right now, don't think, just shift that version. And bring in the version of you that would struggle when it didn't know what to do. And let's acknowledge and love that version and allow that version to heal to completion now with all the other versions that have healed to completion. Because this version knows that as a piece of everything, you are connected to everything, and therefore you have access to the infinite wisdom of the universe. What to do is always there. It's just a different focus away. So let's shift to a version that sees the breakthrough of that. Let's just sense a version of you that has the biggest breakthrough of your life in your relationship with yourself, and shift to that version right now. And let's just sense the version that's had the biggest breakthrough of your life as being a partner in your relationships, a husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and shift to that version right now and see your role in that relationship from an entirely new light right now. Feel that frequency breakthrough. And sense a radical breakthrough in being a parent. And if you're not a parent now, parent in the future, parent in the past. Move into that massive breakthrough with your relationship with your children. And let's imagine the biggest breakthrough you've ever had in your life in understanding how life works, as if you got to peer into the source code of the universe. And let's smile and shift into the version of you that just had that breakthrough. Notice how you're feeling right now. Notice the version of you that enjoys feeling this way and shift into that version. And shift into the version of you that's very comfortable feeling this way. Shift into the version of you that feels this way all the time. Aligned, accepting, centered, open, infinite, creative, playful, loving, brave, courageous, adventurous, intelligent, wise, caring, compassionate. And let's bring in the version of you that was afraid in the past to surrender to life. And let's bring that version present, and let's bring that version some love and attention, and let's allow that version to heal. And let's move into the version that surrendering to life is one of the greatest joys. Watching life work for you is one of your greatest hobbies. And just smile because you know something is on its way that's just magical and it's amazing, because that's how your life works. And let's just bring front and center any other part of you that needs to be healed, or any part of you that needs to be forgiven, or anyone else that needs to be forgiven for whatever reason. Bring all of those front and center, give them all attention, give them love, and let's let them all heal to completion with a breath. And let's move to a version that's a little bit more integrated than you are right now. Let's move into the version of you that will continue to get breakthroughs from this call. And let's move into the version that remembered this call years in the future as being the catalyst for an amazing evolution in your life. Let's sit in this space that we've created.